Hello, in this video we are going to design a Stroop task, and through that we are going to learn how to set up different conditions for your experiment in PsychoPy. Okay, so we start with the blank PsychoPy builder. We have the trial routine, and in a typical Stroop task you have uh, text and text color change. For instance, you have green written in green font color and green written in red font color, and for red you have the same red in red and red in green. So the idea is that when you have red in red, people are faster at responding to the color as compared to when red is written in green. So congruent condition artists will be faster than incongruent condition. So you have to create four combinations. Let's say, for instance, if you are choosing two color names, red and blue, and we have to show them in two font colors, again red and blue. So there are four combinations: red in red, red in blue, blue in red, and blue in blue. Okay, those are the four conditions that we have for this experiment. So those are the conditions that we require. So first let's start with the basic stuff. Let's add a fixation cross. We have seen this in the last video. This is pretty straightforward. You name it and you give the time. Let's go from 0 to 0.5. Change the shape. Make sure that the size is what you need. We've gone with the 10 by 10 pixels, so let's stick to that. And so we have a spatial and a spatial layout, then appearance white, again sticking to the default. So we have the fixation there, and the next stimulus is the word that we are going to show, which is we want to show red or blue written in, of course, red and blue font colors. So we need to add a text. Okay, so the text would start at 0.5 where the fixation ends, and of course stop at, let's say, 5 seconds. And what will go into this text, we'll come back to that. So I just want you to remember that whatever you write here, let's say if you write hello, hello is going to show up. Where it is going to show up? It is going to show up at the center of the screen. You can of course change that. We saw that in the last video. We can also change the appearance, colors. We can specify the color here. Let's just stick to the default right now. We'll come back and see how we can change it. So we have the text, and the third component that we need is the response. Okay, so we add a keyboard response. Now again, keyboard response will start at 0.5 and end, let's keep it blank so that the participant have enough time to respond. Now we have allowed keys here. Okay, so we are going to allow two keys. So that in the task we will tell participants to press B if the font color of the text is blue, and press R if the font color of the text is red. Remember, this is the font color, not what is written, not the meaning of the text. They should ignore the meaning of the text and process only the font color. That's classic Stroop task. So those are the two keys that we are going to allow. R for red, B for blue. Okay. Now we'll come back and see how we can store the correct response. There are two options, right? How do you know if they've made the correct response? So that's something we can know, but we'll come back to that later. So just want to show that these are the three basic components of the Stroop task. Now we have a few variables here. What are the variables here? What are the things that change in this experiment? The text changes. It could be in a given trial red or blue in text, or word red and blue, or the color of the font, that can again be red and blue, and what is the correct answer in that particular trial, we need to specify that too. So those are the three key variables that we need to run the experiment. And of course, there is a fourth variable, which is whether the trial is a congruent trial or incongruent trial. You need to know that in your data output file to make sure that you split the trials in an accurate way. Okay, so to define those conditions, we need to open Excel. So in the Excel, we specify the variable. So the first variable, which is the text, I call it the word. Then the color, okay, that's going to be the second variable. That means that's going to be the font color. Then there is stimulus condition, whether the trial is a congruent one or an incongruent one, and then there is the correct response. So these are the four variables that we are going to need to run this experiment. So the words can be red, okay. Red can come in red color, so you mentioned that, and if red word comes in red color, stim condition is 1, and correct response is R, right? You have to press R key when the color is red. Remember, they are going to ignore what is written. What is the word is ignored, and it's the color that they are responding to. Now the red can come in blue color, and then the stimulus condition is incongruent. I'm sorry, I have to change this. When red comes in red, it's the congruent condition. I'm marking it as C. Okay. Correct response in this case is blue, because they have to ignore the text and respond for the font color. Okay. Third row will be blue. The word blue in red color. That is going to be an incongruent trial, and the correct response is R, because it's the color of the font is red. Again, blue in blue color. That's going to be a congruent trial, and the correct response is going to be B. Now we have this. Here we have defined the conditions. So basically what's going to happen is that on each iteration or on each trial, either one of these 4 rows will be selected. So if, let's say, row 2 here is selected, the text would show up as RED, and the color of the text will be blue, and it is of course an incongruent condition, and the correct response will be B. So on each trial, any one of these 4 rows will be, remember it is rows, any one of these rows will be sampled in a random fashion. Okay, so this is our conditions file. Let us save this inside the folder. Let's save it. Okay, hang on. Save it inside this folder, and we'll call this COND. Okay. Make sure that you save it as an XLSX file. That is the that is the format that is recognized. Okay, so we have created this XLSX file with the conditions defined. Now you need to go back to the PsychoPy and create the loop. Insert loop around this, and here you give mentioned which is the conditions file. Okay, you go to the browser and we have the XLSX file here. Double click on that, and now you can see that PsychoPy has already recognized the 4 parameters: word, color, stim condition, and correct response. Now you can, if you want to change the repetitions, change it to 10 and see the loop type. You can either loop it as random, which means each row will be picked in random, or you can do it as sequential. So those are the 2 options for the Stroop. These options are for more psychophysics experiments, which we will not go into right now. So this is going to be 10 repetitions. So we have the trial loop here. Now this, as standard, we will add the instruction. Okay, so instructions going to be here, and in the instructions, we'll just add a text saying welcome. Okay, will not give any instructions right now. So let's just say welcome, and the duration is just stay for 1 second. And also let's add a new routine saying thank you. Okay, I'll add here and add text and say thank you. All right, so that we have the trials, we have 10 repetitions of all these variables. We have a trial. Okay, now let's go back and define the conditions inside the trial routine. Okay, now we are back to trial routine. We have created the the conditions file as an Excel file and added it here inside the loop trials properties. This is basically the loop that we inserted. This one, if you double click on this, it's going to come here, and here is where we added the conditions. Okay, now let's go back to the trial routine here and go to the text. And here, instead of hello, we want the word to appear. And first thing you need to do is put a dollar symbol, put a dollar symbol and write word. So here it will treat word as a variable, and if you go back to the Excel file, that is exactly the word that the term that we use for the text. So text will be word. And now the second thing we need to change is the color. So we change the color here by again putting a dollar sign and typing color, make sure that the spelling is correct. And now change this from constant to set every repeat. That's very important. Otherwise, it will not get updated every time. Similarly, for word, you have to change it to set every repeat. Okay, cool. Now let's go back to the keyboard response. And here we say that we need to store the correct response, and correct response is the variable correct response. Let me check if this. Okay, correct response. Yeah, so that's correct. All right, now we've got that. Let's just yeah. So we have added all the variables in here, and we are ready to start. Let me run this experiment. Okay, so you have to save it first. Okay, let me save it and let me call it a Stroop task. Stroop. All right. Okay, so let me run this now. Okay, let's run the task. So first we'll see the instruction for 1 second. Okay, now this, so you can see that it starts red. I'll just say press blue in this case, B. I'll press B again. I press red, R, B, R, R, B, B, R, R, B. So I can go ahead and press the corresponding key. When the font color is blue, I press B. When the font color is red, I press R. And this is going on for 10 repetitions, which means this is going on for 40 trials, because one repetition in this condition file is 4 rows, right? 4 rows, and if you repeat it 10 times, there's going to be 40 trials. So we're done with those 40 trials, and we have successfully completed the Stroop task. All right, thank you very much.